Hello everyone, this is part 4 on formal and informal English. And the question is, what are the features or qualities of formal English? Now, this is my own explanation of formal English. It's a little bit different from some books and some websites, but it's very useful, I hope. Formal English is like a picture or mosaic, and it involves pronunciation, which is tone, the tone of the voice, and intonation, which means your voice is going up or down. This is intonation. Grammar, by grammar I mean words and sentences, spelling and punctuation. So formal English is like a picture. I explained formal English in part 1, part 2 and part 3, and I gave examples, and I gave you a very short explanation of formal English. But this is my definition, and this is my understanding of formal English. It is like a picture. It's mosaic, if you want, and it involves pronunciation, grammar, spelling and punctuation. And this is, my definition of formal English, my explanation of formal English, the way I look at it as a teacher. Formal English is the use of a grammatical, meaningful, complete, consistent, relevant, formal, clear, brief, and precise parts of speech and sentences. Now, I'm going to explain this and give you examples about number A. But this is just, the explanation of formal English. We cannot explain formal English or define formal English by using one sentence. That's why I put A and B, and you will see now more examples. Formal English, it means avoidance of idioms. I don't use idioms. I will explain idioms later on. Contractions, we don't use contractions. So we don't use idioms in formal English. We don't use contractions. We don't use phrasal verbs. We don't use interjections. We don't use a lot of question and exclamation marks. We don't use a lot of conversation markers. We don't use a lot of grammatical deletion. We don't use a lot of short phrases for responding. Again, we don't use personal pronouns I and we in formal English. And several clauses, we don't put a lot of clauses together, joined together. And this is again the definition of formal English. Formal English is used in research, in study, in teaching, and in universities. Now, I am going to explain to you now, one by one. I gave you my own definition, my own understanding, my own explanation of formal English. And I said to you, formal English is A, is B, and is C. Of course, avoidance of, it means we don't use. Avoidance of idioms, it means we don't use idioms. Avoidance of contractions, it means we don't use contractions. So watch this again, slowly and slowly. You write it down, you take pictures of it, but you have to understand the meaning of formal English. It's A, it's B, it is C. Now, I will give you the examples. So, the conjunctions are formal in formal English. It is raining, so I will take my umbrella. So is informal, therefore is formal. Before so, I don't use a comma here because it is raining is a short sentence. But it is raining heavily in our area. I put semicolon before therefore, and I put a comma after therefore, and then I finish the sentence. So is informal, therefore is formal, and before so no comma, before therefore I put a semicolon, after therefore I put a comma. Complete sentences, fine. People ask you how are you, you say fine. So fine is not complete because it is informal. I am well. This is a formal sentence. Precise vocabulary. It means the words you use in formal English must be precise, must be exact, must be accurate. If I say there are few houses for the elderly in some countries, so few houses is not precise. Why? Because I don't know. What do you mean by few houses? Do you mean 10 houses? Do you mean 20? Do you mean 3? Do you mean 50, 40? So it's general. It's not exact. It's not precise. But if I say there is a shortage of 1,000 dwellings for the elderly in America, this is now formal English. Number one, I say a shortage. Shortage means few. But I also tell you how many. 1,000. So we need 1,000. And I don't use houses, I use dwellings. So dwellings, this word is formal. A shortage means a few, and shortage is formal, few is informal, and I give you the exact number of the houses which we need for the elderly in America. Now, complete sentences, complete responses that always contain a main verb. So if I say, do you agree with this idea? You say agreed. This is informal. But if I say, do you agree with this idea? And you say to me, I absolutely agree with what you say, this sentence is formal English. Use of modal verbs. So maybe the electricity is off because the wires are old. This is informal. So what I use is. But in formal English, I use modal verbs. I use can be. So can be is formal, but here I use is. The verb is informal. But if you use a modal verb, this means you are using formal English. So the power cut, so I don't say the electricity is off, I say power cut, because power cut is formal. Electricity is off, this is informal. And I say can be, I don't say is, ascribed to the fact that the wires in our area are old. So can be, it means it is possible that the power cut is because of the wires which are old in our area. So as can be, it means it is possible that. Ascribed to, it means the reason for the power cut. Ascribed to is formal English, and it means the reason for the power cut is, the fact that the wires are very old. So as you can see, I don't use electricity off, I use power cut. I don't use is, I use can be, I use ascribed to, which is formal instead of because, and this is formal English. Clause structure is often compound or complex, and this is informal English. The sentences can be compound or complex. Informal, I can't see you tonight, my dog isn't fine, please call me tomorrow AM. So we use a sentence, full stop, a sentence, full stop, a sentence, full stop. This is what? Informal. But formal English, I use I cannot meet you tonight because my dog is unfortunately unwell. So I put all these sentences, I put them in one sentence. Why? Because in formal English, the clause structure is compound or complex. If I use because here, because is a conjunction and it makes the sentence complex. And all these three sentences, I put them in one sentence and I use because. And if I continue now with the sentence, however, could you please call me tomorrow morning? So I don't say please call me tomorrow AM. This is informal. Could you please, call me tomorrow morning? Could you please call, again, there is a typing mistake. Could you please call me tomorrow morning? So I don't say please call me tomorrow AM. This is informal. Could you please call me tomorrow morning? This is formal. And I don't use but, I use however, because but is informal. However is formal. And before however, I use a semicolon and I use a comma after it. It's like therefore. No contractions. I can't see you tonight. Can't is informal. Cannot is formal. This is the end of the video. Please watch it again. I hope you learned from the examples, and again try to read my definition or explanation of formal English. I said it's ABC, and formal English is like a picture, it's like mosaic. Thank you for watching. Thank you.